Have you ever wondered when life started to make sense? To me, it was June 2018. I was diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD. And then a year later, another psychiatrist diagnosed me with autism. So I have autism and ADHD. I was devastated because I became a person with disability. But then I got a bit of joy. Why? I learned that I can get the registration card for people with disabilities, and I can get a half-price ticket to my favorite activity, classical music concerts. So after 5 years, I see myself differently now. I accept who I am, I love who I am, and I'm proud of who I am. I do not see myself as a person with disability. I see myself as a person of neurodiversity. And today is my sharing of living with the ups and downs of my neurodivergent conditions. But first of all, what is neurodiversity? In 1997, Judy Singer, Australian sociologist and herself autistic, invented the term neurodiversity. She argued that there is human variation in terms of thinking, communication, and interacting with others. For example, why must we look at the other person's eye when we speak? Why must we sit down for hours, listen submissively to our teachers? Or why must all the information be communicated in words rather than images? And Singer argues that people who don't look at you when they speak, people who can only function when they can walk here and there, and people who can process information by images should be recognized and embraced for who they are, rather than being stigmatized or being killed to become like you. And examples of neurodiversity are autism, ADHD, dyslexia, and dyspraxia. Living with neurodiversity is team sport. I got the support from psychiatrists, from clinical psychologists, occupational therapists, and social workers. Why social workers? Well, I didn't mean to get the support from social worker because of disability allowance. One of the issues of living with neurodivergent conditions is, let's say for ADHD, you can be impulsive into a relationship, or if you're autism, you can be too overt into a relationship. So that's why, as a personal growth project, I joined a program, and it was about how men should pursue the opposite sex. And it was a very, very good workshop, and I had a meeting with the social worker at the end, and I asked the social worker, well, it was a wonderful program. I managed to get the girl's number, and the number was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But in reality, that's different. Do you think the girl will run when I mention these 4 letters, A, D, H, D? The social worker listened to me patiently, and then he asked me this. Why don't you just learn about your A, D, H, D first? Learn about what ADHD means to you, learn about its impact on your life, and then when you tell the girl about what ADHD means to you and the relationships, perhaps she is going to love you even more because you are just honest and you make her feel safe. Well, it turns out that he's right. I should learn more about myself. And I can give you 2 examples of my neurodivergent qualities. The first one is energy and enthusiasm. Looking back, if you ask me to sit down for hours, my mind goes blank, and I can be bored to death. However, if I can go here and there, if I can go to new places to meet new people, I feel my life is resurrected. Why? Because when I go to new places, I can find out how they work, I can find out how the office is designed, or when I speak to people, yes, I also need to get the business. But equally important is to build the relationships. and this is what energizes me. I also have the side projects. When I tell people, people say that, well, is it your side projects? And what is my side projects? I like to go to different places to eat. And when I tell this to people, people say, well, it seems that you don't do anything other than eating, eating, and eating. Yes, I love eating, and I like to go to posh restaurants to eat. No matter where I go, I switch on my phone, check the app, and find out any wonderful restaurants. Because dining is more than just a lifestyle. I like to go to great restaurants to learn more about how they work, and this is what I find. First, great restaurants have high team morale. Second, the staff members know the ingredients. They also know the history of different dishes. And one more thing, their toilets are clean. And the second point is hyper-focus. I'm a classical music lover. I love Mahler, Rachmaninoff, Strauss. And I remember that when I first earned my paycheck, I got the paycheck from being a concert critic of Rachmaninoff. I didn't learn anything about classical music. I just emailed to the editor saying that I really want to write something. And then she asked me to comment on a local orchestra concert. And I spent 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, listening to Rachmaninoff's Resume on Paganini. And I just wrote the review and I got 400. Yeah, and then I realized that when I like something, I'm just completely into it. I can lose track and time. I can even just get by with a glass of water. And then I realized that when I was a history teacher, or when I was studying history, I was into the Middle East history, and I was willing to spend my personal pocket money traveling to Israel. Or spending free with the students traveling in the US to visit different historic sites. I wish it would be very, very easy for people to change their perception of ADHD or neurodiversity. Perhaps they don't know anything about ADHD. They may ask you, are you talking about A, B, C, D rather than ADHD? Or they just don't know anything about neurodiversity. Or perhaps they have negative assumption or stereotype of ADHD and autism. And I remember being told repeatedly by people, Jonathan, if you talk about your neurodivergent conditions, people will not be willing to be your friends because you need to go to mental health clinic. Or ADHD is just an excuse for laziness. Or autism, you don't look like you're having autism or ADHD. Well, this can be very, very frustrating, but after 5 years, I'm happy that I have done the advocacy work. I like speaking to the community with the lived experience because I see the value of being the advocate. By developing awareness of neurodiversity and by getting the public interested in neurodiversity, I believe that we can work together to create an inclusive society for the neurodivergent and their caregivers and supporters. And I'm also happy to say, I have managed to get new friends from church, from school, from work, and from other communities. And I'm happy to say that some of them are here today. All right, let's move on. What if you are neurodivergent? First of all, you are not alone. Globally, around 20% of the population are neurodivergent. And in Hong Kong, the University of Hong Kong conducted a survey a few years ago, estimated that around 6.4 children and adolescents have ADHD. So the chance that there is always someone in your community, and he or she is neurodivergent. So you can always find someone who is neurodivergent. So you have buddies. Don't worry about it. And second of all is to know your rights. If you don't know your rights, how can you advocate for yourself? When I speak to people, most people do not know that ADHD and autism are under disability discrimination audience. So you get legal protections, and in the unfortunate case, you get discriminated because of your neurodivergent conditions or ADHD and autism. You can file the complaint to Equal Opportunities Commission or seek legal recourse. In education and employment, you can get accommodative support, including extended test time, a quiet room, a flexible timetable. The key point is you need to know what you need. You need to know what support you need to get. And then you also need to get the agreement from the other party. And the last point is hold yourself accountable. What it means to be holding yourself accountable. Let me share this with you. After the sharing, or even from social media, from time to time, I got contacted by people I had never met before. In my unofficial calculation, 10 people have spoken to me, 8 of them being ladies. And when they contacted me, they said this to me: well, Jonathan, you are so brave. You talk about your autism and ADHD. I wish my former boyfriend were as brave as you. I tried to help him to deal with the ADHD. He just didn't listen to me, finding me such a bossy lady. Unfortunately, we fought against each other, we scolded at each other, and then we broke up. Wow, what a sad story it was. So first of all, learn about your neurodivergent conditions. Say for ADHD, yes, ADHDs are known for their enthusiasm, high energy, and creativity. However, undiagnosed ADHDs are more likely to be addicted to alcohol, gambling, pornography, and extramarital affairs. So it's very important to learn more about what triggers your neurodivergent conditions. And as for me, I practice self-compassion. I always know that I'm going to do something great, I always do something bad. However, there's always a room for improvement. The other point is to find allies. Finding allies means sometimes you just need someone to listen to you without any judgment. And the last point is be your advocate. You need to know what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And the last point is know the land and know its rule. The reason why I say this is because, say for ADHD drugs are psychiatric drugs. When you travel to new place, when you travel, you need to know whether the countries allow you to bring in ADHD drugs. I was detained in Osaka for 30 minutes because carrying ADHD drugs. Luckily, I got the doctor's certificate and I was allowed to go. The next point is, you are not neurodivergent, but someone you know is neurodivergent, then what should you do? First of all, accept them for who they are. Because of their neurodivergent conditions, the people you know are often, or maybe often bully, laugh, mock, criticize. They don't need another critic, another bully, another naysayer. They need a friend. So what it means to be a friend, accept them for who they are. And it's also about relationship building. Speaking of relationship building, I would like to say how important honesty is. Why I say this? I have chances of working with recruitment consultants and diversity, equity, and inclusion professionals. From time to time, they speak to me. Hey, Jonathan, sometimes I interview the neurodivergent candidates. It seems to me that the parents answer the questions for the candidates. It seems to me that the parents are the candidates rather than the candidates themselves. And then it turns out that the parents may have learned that their kids were diagnosed with neurodivergent conditions back to the age of 7, 8, or 9 years old. But somehow the parents believe that, well, the kids are great, getting good grades, graduate from top university. But why my kids are fired here and fired there? And now the parents regret, and they would like to find a quick fix for the kids. Well, first of all, the kids miss the opportunity to get the support they need. And second of all, the lack of honesty, we all know, is not conducive to any long-term relationships. The other point is, if you know someone who is neurodivergent or know someone who is a caregiver for a neurodivergent person, encourage them to join supportive communities. They can be online or funded by NGOs. Looking after the neurodivergent can be challenging because of bias and stigma, and sometimes what the caregivers need is someone to share the joy and pain of looking after neurodivergence. And the last point is encourage the neurodivergent people you know to get the support they need, whether it's about mental health, social welfare, or other types of support. And I know some of you may ask, I'm not neurodivergent, I don't know anyone who is neurodivergent, then what can I do? Well, there is lots of things you can do. First of all, learn about what neurodiversity is and learn about the relationship between neurodiversity and other issues. So for example, you may learn more about what neurodiversity is. You can learn more about issues surrounding the people who are neurodivergent. Maybe I can give you 3 examples. I can tell you 3 facts. First of all, until 10 years ago, autistic people were thought not interested in sex. So that's why autistic people were thought not needed sex education. But do you think that they should learn about how to protect themselves? Or at least they should learn about how their body changes in different life stages. Especially in France, there was the statistics showing that 9 out of 10 autistic women have been sexually assaulted. The second part is, more studies have shown that neurodivergent people have multiple conditions: autism, ADHD, and dyslexia. The last fact is, only around 10 years ago, people or medical community believed that adults could have ADHD. So the theory is updated every day, but I also believe that it's well learned about what neurodiversity is. And second of all is to create a safe community for the neurodivergent people you know to share their concerns, to find the support they need. Because the point is, everyone should feel safe so that they can work well and enhance their productivity. And I believe that after 5 years, my life was moved from the bottom to the first because of all the support I get from different programs, from people and from the community. And I believe that, and I wish to say, when a door was closed, a window is open. Just something bad happened to you doesn't mean it's going to be the end of the day. And finally, I wish you to be interested in neurodiversity and be the ally for the neurodivergent community. Bye-bye.